Okay. So another video for Shafe. Man, I watched your whole video too. I don't agree with everything that you say, but like at least we're kind of having a conversation that makes sense to me. Um, you really read the Bible a lot. It's something I don't do much, and one of the things that you said, I took a couple of notes here that I'm going to have to go back and reference to, but the first one is this. You seem to think that this meant that God wasn't a part of the universe. So it's not exactly like that to me. Like I would say that like it's like the Fibonacci sequence or some shit. And it's, each of these is the picture that you just saw. So from the top down, they look like Star of David's universes or whatever in my mind. And it's like there's a staircase spiraling of other universes somewhere. And, God's wherever the fuck this is. And he's wherever the fuck this is. And he's also the entire chain of universes and each individual universe. So, I don't know, I guess basically I agree. But, I don't know, I wanted to draw the cool seashell pattern or whatever bullshit because, like, it's how I see things. It's that there's a whole bunch of universes and God is everywhere in all of them, somehow. And, maybe it's, you go to a different universe or something when you die. I don't know. But with it being stacked like that, God isn't in any one universe. He can't be. But yet God is every universe, and God is like the thing holding all of the universes together. If you believe in such shit. You mentioned the tree of life and the tree of knowledge, good and evil. We could go off on that for forever, but I don't think there really is a tree of life, first off. And the tree of knowledge, good and evil, I think is some sort of a metaphor for some extraterrestrial taking a hand in our development at some point and deciding that the kind of quaint monkey people that were here needed to be smarter somehow. If you go back and read ancient Sumerian mythology, read about Enki, and realize that Enki is the serpent in the Garden of Eden. That was his tree. He's like a Mesopotamian god of technology. I don't know, he might be the devil, but he was definitely, that was his tree, his fruit, and his serpent. And the sad part is Enki is one of the ones that's like on the side of man actually continuing as a thing. So, I don't know if you read into any of that shit. It would be interesting to me if like the devil was the only one rooting for the earth to stick around. I think that might actually be like the case. There has to be someone in charge of this place, and no one likes doing it, and maybe that's the devil. The whole tree of life nonsense, I don't know. There's a lot about Genesis, especially the first parts of Genesis, that like it's a coded story that has levels of meaning for you if you know different shit. On one level, it's a children's story. On other levels, it's telling you details of shit that happened, I think. The whole 666 being the number of man thing. On my particular drawing there, 666 and 999 are swapping places all the time. And I interpret 666 as male and 999 as female. And like maybe this is like the inherent thing that like most women are born so pure of heart that they're automatically a 9. Men are less so. I've not met many men that were even young, that were just naturally pure of heart. Maybe that's just me, people I hang around. But even if you go to like the best schools and shit, you'll find scum. I think that's interesting. I think that's just kind of how it's supposed to be. And I don't know why. As far as reincarnation and shit goes, I believe in reincarnation pretty hardcore because of my last life, which I had dreams about when I was a kid. At least that's how I chose to interpret those dreams. I had pretty vivid dreams where I was in a French soldier's uniform that it took me years to figure that shit out. And like the only thing I can figure is it's Napoleon's retreat from Russia that I was having dreams about. I think I died somewhere in that shit. The end of the dream, I always got bayoneted to death. It's kind of an intense way to fucking wake up when you're like 5 or 3 or whatever. Like, I had those dreams for a long time when I was a kid. And like, that's what kind of leads me to believe in reincarnation. And I kind of think that the whole reincarnation thing is like a soul development scheme. Like, think about God, what God would want. Like, if you've made all of this, I think the goal is eventually to have someone somewhat on your level to talk to. And that's not us. That's not even whatever we ascend into after we leave here. That's many, many moons down the line, I would assume. You know, and like, I think we all start out as like ants. And once you learn how to be an ant and be a good ant, then like maybe your soul goes on to be something else. Maybe you get to be a fish or some shit, or a rat or a dog or whatever. Eventually, I think everybody ends up as cats and dogs, though, because cats and dogs live with people and absorb a lot of love and learn things and like have behaviors, and like, it's kind of like you were saying, cats and dogs, or well, I'm saying cats, dogs at least for you, are just below us somewhere, for sure. Like, this whole thing is a development scheme of some sort. Like, you were pointing that out in and of yourself with your whole thing. So, if that's not the point of this, then what is the point of the animals' souls? And everyone would be like, oh, animals don't have souls. The church tell you that. The church tell you all sorts of shit. The church lies to you. Animals for sure have souls. Especially dogs and cats, and like, I even think ants and shit do. I feel bad killing ants. And like, that's probably not the way you should be. Some things are supposed to die, but it's not their fault that they're just fucking around in my house. You know? You also mentioned something about, wouldn't it be nice if you just got 27,000 lives until you got it right? I think that is the case. I think that once you become a person, like, you might get another trip as a dog again or some shit after really fucking shit up as a person. Sort of like, hey, maybe you need to learn something. I don't know, maybe you can descend, but like, I kind of think it's you only go up, not down. You know, imagine playing a video game where you always had to go back to the start versus where you just had to go back to the start on the last level. I think that's kind of what it is. Again, that's just out of my own fucking weirdness, so take that for what it is. And you were talking about animals murdering for fun. I just watched cats murder for fun with little to no remorse. In fact, they enjoy it. To be honest, I don't think God is against that. I think, you know, if you go and interpret the commandments, it says you should not murder. But like, I interpret murder as being killing without cause. Okay? And I think that's different for people than it is for cats, for sure. But like, I'm not saying that you should just go murder, you know, people or even animals in this case, but like if you need to eat something and there's a deer there, it's okay to eat the deer. That's why it's there. That's how I view things. Man isn't a virus. You said that, like, you should get that the English are a virus, Europeans are a virus. You can go other places on the planet where there are people that do not do the shit that we do. And, like, part of the problem with the world now is we've gone everywhere on the planet and given everyone the internet and told them all exactly how to exploit every natural resource on Earth. And we have turned the world into England, which is, that was the English point or whatever back in the day. The English policy or whatever was to make the world England. Well, they succeeded. Because the English took their entire island and carved it up for whatever natural resources it could be torn up for, and then turned it into a bunch of very small lawns with little houses on them for all of their people. Welcome to the world we are creating. Like, I think eventually it's going to be to the point where there's like no fields and open ground and shit left. But like, you don't see the Amish doing that shit. You don't see, tribesmen doing that shit. In fact, that's not the natural way. The natural way for people usually is that they have areas that they go to do certain things. Like, people are supposed to be kind of migratory and go back and forth from, various camps to do certain things. That's kind of the way tribes work, at least back in the day. And it makes us a lot less of a virus. And you were talking about changing my opinion. My opinion changes daily, man. I don't have a fixed opinion on any of this shit because we live in the end times and like we're literally watching the devil come back to earth, I think. And like, I'm sitting here curious to see how it all works out. I'm, hoping that I'm wrong, but I don't think I am anymore. And you told me to stop trying to not be gay. I'm trying not to be as much of a whore. And I'm probably still going to be gay, but I don't know, trying to be less sexually promiscuous. I think that's a good goal. Kids left with me was a topic that you brought up. Kids left with me would be perfectly fine from a sexual morality standpoint, other than the fact that I am a dude wearing fucking girl clothes, according to a lot of people. I don't have any impulse towards children at all. I don't understand that. It's one of those things, like you were saying, like, I don't even have to fucking think about my response to that, because it would, like, what were you going to do with a kid? Like, I don't know. If I did have a kid dropped off here, I would probably teach him to use weapons until the little bastard probably shot me. Because, it's inevitable. That or, like, speared me. I would take your 3-year-old child and start teaching him to make spears in the backyard. You're talking about steel only sharpening steel. Like, this is one of my, I don't know, things is, if you know what you are, and you know that you are steel, and you know that you cut things, and the things that keep trying to sharpen you end up being bronze and getting nicks taken out of them, you start being a little bit more careful about trying to sharpen people. And you start being a lot careful about who you let try to sharpen you. Because you know you are steel, and you know that you kill. And that's kind of where it is, really. It's like, it's not that I'm dangerous or whatever. It's that, like, in this religious debate, I think about this shit entirely too much for most people. So either you're into thinking about this kind of shit with me, or you're not, in which case there's nothing wrong with that. But given the situation that I think we find ourselves in, I'm curious about religious shit, you know. I really liked your video, Shafe, enough to, like, make this response to it at least. I don't know, man. It seems like there's no right answers. It's all just whatever you want to believe. And this is half of why I do the thing that I do, by just throwing my shit out here on YouTube and letting people judge for themselves. Like, my goal in doing this is to make other people think about the same kind of things that you and I obviously think about and Backwoods thinks about. I think mission accomplished. I could probably do some things better, but I used to try to not sound so crazy and to throw more cool shit in. I might return to that eventually. I definitely need to go talk about knives. We might go do that, but as of late, spiritual matters seem to be on my mind foremost. And I think that's because of the end of the world. So I'm going to try to keep this short because, you know, you complained about it being 30 minutes long. I usually just make this shit, and, like, it's all truckers and shit that listen to this. And I don't know about you guys, but I appreciate a longer video. You know, it depends on if you have something to say or not, I guess. If you don't have anything to say, 30 minutes of bullshit is not worth listening to. But if you're actually talking about anything that matters, or anything that you're interested in, and maybe the video that I'm making will be the one that everybody just likes. So I tend to pontificate. That, and, like, YouTube, for whatever reason, has always geared us towards shorter videos. And now Instagram gears you towards shorter videos. Facebook gears you towards shorter videos. TikTok is even shorter, and Vines and whatever. And now everything's 15 seconds of ass. You get 15 seconds of ass and you get to laugh at it. And that shit just reminds me of Idiocracy so much it makes me scream. So I guess these videos are like my rebuttal to pop culture and the world and whatever. And if you get mixed in as a, like, thing I respond to, like Shafe, don't take it personally. Like he said, steel sharpens steel. And I just say a lot of shit. I say whatever's on my mind and kind of ramble high. So sorry about that. Sometimes we make really good videos. Sometimes we make total shit. It's just all whatever it is. I happen to think my religious shit is some of the best stuff that I do. It's also some of the craziest, according to most people, but that just makes it, you know, better for more views, right? Like, come on. Come on, watch my stuff. You know you want to. You know you are morbidly curious to see whatever the fuck I mean by God Fibonacci sequence. Or fucking some other crazy shit that I'm going to title this thing. That's half of the fun, man. I don't know. I like your channel, Shafe. Even though I think we do disagree a little bit about religion. I think it's mostly because you listen to the Bible way too much. Which maybe I don't listen to it enough. That's kind of my own failing. But I did want to get to one last thing. You were like, why am I holding my guitar? Well, the whole thing you were doing with your hands by the frets, you could technically be sending secret messages somehow by doing all of that shit. I don't know. I'm not into guitars. But that's the stuff that it made me think. So, like, now you got me, like, a conspiracy about, like, musical instruments and whatever, and now I feel compelled to play the blues. See you guys later. That was a harmonica, in case it wasn't clear.